Welcome back to my channel. I hope you've had an amazing week. This is GP Made Easy and I'm Dr. Daniel Follows. So today we're going to discuss about capacity, as it's something that we assess on an everyday basis, and it can sometimes cause anxiety among clinicians, especially when a patient is making what we believe to be an unwise decision. But before we go into the video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe so I know that you're enjoying this content. But anyway, let's get on with the video. So first of all, a bit about capacity. So in the UK, there is a legal legislation called the Mental Capacity Act that was made in 2005, and it helps give guidelines to clinicians how to assess capacity and what to do if someone doesn't have capacity. And this legislation applies to anyone who is 16 years and above. The main points of the Mental Capacity Act are that we must assume that everyone has capacity to make a decision until proven otherwise, that wherever possible, we must help people to make their own decision. If someone makes what we believe to be an unwise decision, then we don't just assume that they haven't got capacity. If we are making a decision for someone who lacks capacity, then we must make a decision that's in their best interests. And if we're providing treatment or care for someone who lacks capacity, it must be the least restrictive option of their basic rights and freedoms. So, how do we assess someone to have capacity? Well, to be able to say that someone has capacity, they must be able to understand the information relevant to the decision, be able to retain that information long enough to be able to make a decision, to be able to weigh up or balance the information as part of the decision process, and be able to communicate their decision. And this can be any form of communication, whether verbal, written, sign language, any form of communication. Couple of points as well: when you are assessing capacity for a decision, make sure it's clearly documented, especially if someone lacks capacity, in particular writing down the certain aspect which means they are lacking capacity. And another note is that capacity is time and decision specific. So if you do have a patient who's lacking capacity, before you make a decision, have a think to be like, well, can I come back at another time to have this discussion with the patient? And for each type of decision that needs doing, you need to reassess capacity for each thing. Moving on what to do if someone lacks capacity. So like stated earlier, the Mental Capacity Act states that we do a best interest decision. So first of all, we need to gather up as much information about the patient's views as we can. For example, if there's been anything documented in the past, speak to close friends or family, people who have been involved with their care. Need to look if someone has a lasting power of attorney, which I'll cover shortly. And also if the patient has any advanced decisions. And this is a legal document that a patient can make when they have capacity about in the future if there are certain treatments or procedures that they wouldn't want. And a lasting power of attorney is a legal document that a patient can make when they have capacity to assign a representative who can make decisions for them on finances, health and more when that person lacks capacity. And just to make you aware, there are actually two different versions. So there's a lasting power of attorney for finances and a lasting power of attorney for health. So when someone does mention they have lasting power of attorney, you need to make sure they have the health one for them to be able to make the decisions. If the patient doesn't have anyone to be able to be involved in the decision making process, then they get assigned an independent mental capacity advocate, who is someone from the council/government who's assigned to them to help gather information to help make a best interest decision. And finally, we're going to cover what to do when someone is making what we believe to be an unwise decision. So, for example, if you've stated to a patient you think they need to go to the emergency department but they don't want to go. So first of all, you need to make sure you've given the patient all the information available to this decision, including the consequences if they weren't to go ahead with the desired option. Then you would move on to assess to see if they have capacity to make this decision of refusal or making the unwise decision. And then if they have got capacity, you need to respect their decision, but also make sure that you clearly document in the notes that you've gone through all the information, including the consequences, and that you believe the patient has capacity to make this decision. If obviously you believe that someone doesn't have capacity to make the decision, then you would go back to the previous section and do a best interest decision. And finally, you should clearly safety net them on features that suggest that it's getting worse and they need to seek medical attention again, whether it be from you or going straight to the emergency department or other resources. Well, that's it for today's video. I hope you found it helpful and learned something new. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe so that I know you're enjoying this content and I'll make more videos for you. And also, if there are any topics you would like me to cover, then please comment down below. I'm also on Instagram, so if you want to check me out on there, it's up here. It's the same name, it's GP Made Easy. Or if you'd prefer, you can contact me via email. My email address is just up here. Well, I hope you guys have an amazing week and I will see you in the next video.